Welcome everybody. Today is a Wednesday. You know what that means? It's We Wednesday. If you guys are new to the stream, if you guys don't know, on Wednesdays we like to talk about anime, and I think this is a perfect time to go back and talk about the summer anime 2021 because we're several weeks deep into the season, and I've been watching a couple stuff, and I kind of want to do like my first impressions on like what I think is worth watching so far, what I think is not worth watching so far, and a lot to talk about and a lot to get through. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on the shows too. If I've missed shows that you guys think are like critical to watch, let me know as well. But yeah, oh, also, I gotta put this one in F because I heard it's bad. Okay, so immediately right off the bat, 3 shows that I will not be watching this season. Kanojo no Kanojo, the Mahoka spinoff with the sister, and the Shinigami Bochan. So not watching those 3. I'm also not watching Love Live. I'm sorry. Love Live stands. Let me start with a show that has an episode out so far, and I want to talk about Sonny Boy. If you haven't heard anything about Sonny Boy, it's directed by the same guys who did Boogie Pop. So I don't think Boogie Pop was a particularly popular anime, but it's got this really cool animation style, and the whole mystique of Sonny Boy is pretty awesome. I love the weirdness of this show, and yeah, so it's directed by Shingo Natsume, One Punch Man, Space Dandy, Boogie Pop. But in my opinion, it felt very much in the lines of Boogie Pop, where it's kind of like you kind of don't know what the heck is happening. So I'm just gonna play out the trailer here. You can see right off the bat, like the animation style is a little bit different than your average anime, and I like that. It's distinctive. I feel like so much anime kind of just looks the same, and the first episode just sends you through a ride. It doesn't really explain anything. You find out that the school that they're in is just transferred to another world, essentially. I guess that means this is an isekai, but it's got a bunch of really interesting stuff that happens, right? Like, you meet this one very sus little kid who seems to want to take control of the school, and you find out that people have special powers, and the way the powers manifest is also really interesting and weird. And so the whole thing is pretty not off-putting, but it's sort of off-kilter. You kind of don't know what to expect, but I like that, and I think they play into the sort of mysteriousness and supernatural thing really well. And I think this is definitely one of the shows that I'm most excited to see more episodes of, because it's just so different, and I like that how different it is. And yeah, so this is a show that I think has a lot of potential, and I'm gonna put it into my A-tier show, where I think it is very good so far. But obviously with only 1 episode, it's kind of hard to say like, oh, is it gonna be like season anime of the season, anime of the year type potential, or if it falls down to being just kind of mediocre. But I will say that the first episode is really good. Do you think it's going to be an ensemble cast, or is it just going to be focused on the main 3 characters that show on the poster? My guess with Sonny Boy is that we're going to mainly see the perspective of the main characters. I feel like they made it pretty clear in the opening that like the 3 main characters, which seem like it's the guy who kind of doesn't care that anything is happening, the girl who is just seemingly very wild, and then on top of that, the one kid who's sort of controlling everything. Like, it feels like the tension is already there between the 3, because in my opinion, it kind of seems like the main character might be the cause of what's happening, and then you have this girl who's just like the pure opposite of him, and like, I don't know. So, and yeah, this is a anime original, which means you can't get spoiled anywhere, for better or worse. And I think I always love watching anime originals week to week, because they're always a mystery, and I think that plays into the archetype that Sonny Boy is trying to be, and that's another reason why I am going to just initially put this higher than maybe I think I would otherwise. First episode feels like Wonder Egg Party, except without the dark stuff happening. Yeah, without the tremendous amount of like trauma stuff. I can put the current song up there. I need another episode. Yeah, it feels a little early, honestly, to judge Sonny Boy, but it is good, and I expect good things out of it. Let's put it that way. I'm very positive on it. Okay, so since we started with a show that I like, let's start with a show I didn't like. I think Aquatope fucking blows, man. I I wanted to give Aquatope a chance. It's just the most boring anime of all time, and PA Works literally suffers from this always, is that they create these incredibly beautiful animated works, and they're always originals. Again, PA Works makes so many originals over and over again, and they always have this like primarily female cast, and they're always really, the scenery that they build is always so beautiful. And it's just boring, man. And there's been 2 episodes now, and it feels like you could have condensed 2 entire episodes into 10 minutes. Like, I didn't need so much exposition and so much just like wistful looking out windows like this to understand what the heck is happening. Just get on with it. I'm so frustrated with this because I feel as though PA Works should finally learn their lesson and hire a goddamn writer to figure out how to make this stuff actually work. They keep throwing stuff in that's so slow and just kind of pointless, and I get it. They want to showcase their beautiful animation. And don't get me wrong, I think the show is gorgeous. Like, the animation's amazing, the scenery, everything. It's so beautiful, but it's so boring. And it doesn't even do it for people who want Yuri bait, you know? Like, if you're a Yuri lover, like, I don't think this is a Yuri show, really. Maybe it gets there at some point, but legitimately, glaciers from the Arctic move faster than Aquatope does. So it's like, I just can't sit around and watch this, and I'm going to just drop it immediately because I've seen this show 1,000 times before with everything else that PA Works has done. You know, they've got, if you look at PA Works, their originals, right? Like, okay, they get ups for Angel Beats, but it's like Charlotte. Okay, they get ups for that. Iroha was the same thing. Iroduku was the same thing. Look at that. I dropped that one. Apparently 0 episodes in. I actually did watch a couple episodes of that. They have Fairy Gone. If you suffered through that anime. They're just a Pararan. They just cannot figure out how to write something that doesn't just fall apart. And I feel like they so heavily rely on their shows looking good and bringing people in, but that's it. That's all they have. They only have visuals. It's just like, you can't, I forgot what the phrase is. You can't put lipstick on a pig and expect it to look good. You know what I mean? And I think PA Works, most of their originals are boring but beautiful. So yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. It's 24 episodes. This did not need to be 24 episodes. At least at the pace they're going at right now. Like, why would you make your audience suffer through 24 episodes of this? It's just, it's painful. It's like they chose 24 episodes so they could jerk off for half of them, you know? No matter how you polish a turd, it's still a turd, yeah. I mean, I just think this studio needs to hire writers, and I feel that way constantly when I watch their stuff. Bro, if you watch it at 10x speed, you might understand what the heck is happening, because it's like, you guys remember in Bleach, one of the captains, their like Bankai ability is to like slow down the perception of time? That's what it feels like to watch Aquatope. I feel like when I watched the first episode, I probably fell asleep like 3 different times, and I kept waking up being like, wait, how am I still on this episode? Anyways, that's Aquatope. I think it blows, so I'm putting it in trash. If it ends up being good, someone tell me 10 years from now, and maybe it'll have gotten somewhere. Okay, so I guess on that front, we'll move to a show that has surprised me about how much I like it, and that's Bokutachi no Remake. I did a PV stream several weeks ago where I just looked at the preview of stuff, and I am really enjoying the show. This show has 3 episodes. I feel more confident in talking about it a little more. When you read the synopsis of it, it seems boring, right? Like, the synopsis is just like, he's a old game developer, and everything's going wrong in his life, and suddenly he wakes up and he's 10 years younger, and now he gets to redo his life. You know, like, we've seen that shit over and over, right? Like, so I was pretty quick to be like, I don't care to do this sort of like, oh my god, I want to get a redo on my life. Like, I guess like that whole trope thing I feel like has been played out, especially considering like Tokyo Revengers is this season too. But anyways, to talk more about Bokutachi no Remake, the thing I really like about it is that, one is that the show just feels more mature than the average anime show. And I already like the tone of it because, you know, characters just feel more like adults and they just feel less, you know, dumb and yeah, like college anime. You know, I like that sort of thing. And it's the same reason why I'm so head over heels with the show, romance show. They're like middle-aged workers, fresh out of college. Oh my God, why can't I think of it right now? Wotakoi, yeah. The reason why I like Wotakoi so much is because, and I also do like Golden Time as well. I like Wotakoi a lot because the characters just feel more real because instead of being like, oh, I don't know what to do all the time, it's like, okay, I have a goal in front of me and I got to do it. Like, the difference between the main character in Bokutachi no Remake and Tokyo Revengers is night and day. You know, when you watch Tokyo Revengers and you watch that main character attempt to correct his life, it's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic. And the guy, even though in Tokyo Revengers he's supposed to be like almost 30, he acts like he's 12 years old. I don't know if when he goes back in time, it's like his maturity regresses too, but he just feels like an idiot who never seems to learn his lesson. Whereas like immediately in Bokutachi no Remake, it's like the main character's like, oh shit, man. So I had my chance, things didn't work out right, that sucks, and I finally get another chance to go back and make it right, and let me show you guys that I am capable, and I will make use of this chance. And you get that immediately with Bokutachi no Remake, and I like that so much. And the only thing that really, really bugs me about Bokutachi no Remake so far is the blue-haired character. I think this blue-haired character is a travesty to the show because, like, everybody else feels like a college student, and for some reason, she's just, like, her introduction as a character, too, is just like, I fell asleep in someone else's bed, blah, blah. You know, like, she's just there to be fan service character, you know, big titties, and super high-pitched voice, and, like, childlike mannerisms, and I'm like, we didn't need that. We really didn't need that out of her. Like, I think everyone else feels like an awesome character, but in the end, they did kind of round out her character with the recent episodes too. So I sort of forgive her, and it's been less obtrusive recently. But that said, I just enjoy the show because it just feels a little older, and I think anime needs a little bit more of that in general. I also am partial to the fact that this is about a show about making content, right? And as a content creator myself, I'm like, yes, like I worked in the ad agency, side of things in marketing. And so like, I know what a producer is like. I know what a creative director is like. I know what a copywriter is like. I know. And so like all this production stuff as it comes together, it's like, oh yeah, like I've lived that. And so like for me personally, Bokutachi no Remake, I felt like speaks to me probably more than it does the average person because like I know a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, and it reminds me of the stuff that I've gone through as well. So yeah, his harem building has begun. They sort of clue into the fact that like probably the girls do have an interest in the main character, but like at the very least the main character seems like a guy who is really capable, and in some ways, I feel like he deserves it in a way that, like, a lot of shows, the harem main character doesn't really deserve to have his harem. Like, at least this guy is super capable, and I like that about him a lot. And, like, I just feel like so often the harem main character is always just like, I'm the super nice guy, and I'm just nice to everyone, and that's why all these girls love me, is because I'm such a nice guy. And like, at least this guy is very capable, and we've seen that, and he's he's just competent, and he wants to get shit done, and I really appreciate that about this main character. I keep bagging on Tokyo Revenge's main character, but I really just cannot stand that guy in comparison to this one. I don't know if there's anything else I want to add besides that. Like I've been really enjoying the show, and I didn't think I would, considering the synopsis. But I think this one is one of my front runners for one of the anime this season that I really like. But yeah, I think in the end too, if you're somebody who's just fresh out of college, I feel like you probably relate to this guy in that, like, hey, finding jobs is hard. sometimes it's not about what you know, because like there are tons of people who are more than qualified to get that job at the company that you want to work for, but because of one reason or another, you're not accepted. And I know a lot of people probably felt that way, and I felt that way when I got out of college. And so yeah. Also, feels like he deserves a second chance because at least he tried the first time. Yeah, there's a bit of that too. Like I think I appreciate him because like through and through, he seems like a guy who did try and give it all, but he sort of wavered in a critical decision in the past, and you know he regretted it and got to go back. So all the other Tokyo Revengers characters are so good. Yeah, let's talk about Tokyo Revengers because it's not on this list, and I do want to talk about Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is a cool concept. I like that the show is now sort of building on the world of gangsters in Tokyo. You kind of have to do the whole like I need to suspend my disbelief because like the world of gangsters in this world is just so unbelievable. I really, dude, when I was in middle school, I was like a chunibyo and I was like convinced that I had chakra. And meanwhile, these kids are out there like making 300-person gangs and like it's ridiculous. I'm like, what are these kids doing? And like two of the original kids in the Tokyo Manji clan have like giant tattoos. And I'm like, you know, tattoos are expensive. Where are these kids getting the capital to get a giant head tattoo, a giant neck tattoo? Like, yeah, like what is it like in Japan? I don't know, man. I like they're like middle schoolers and they're like hard as fuck. I don't know. I don't know if it's even too smart. They're just too wild, man. I don't know. Apparently I matured at a very different rate than the middle schoolers of this world. But that said, I do like the world building, right? This last episode, they talked about kind of how some of the gangs got built and their origin stories and like the relationships to each other. And I actually really enjoyed that. I think the world of gangsters in Tokyo Revengers is cool. And I like the drama with like the main guy being like, oh, I felt like I was betrayed by Mikey and therefore I'm going to go to Valhalla. And so I just generally like the world of Tokyo Revengers. I think also I love all the side characters. Every side character is so cool. I love the guy with the sin and punishment fists, and like the character design on him is so cool. The Valhalla leader. I think Mikey's awesome. I think Draken is awesome. I think basically everybody else is awesome. And then Takemichi is just unbearably stupid and weak and pathetic and not cool. And so like I'm just so frustrated with him because how many times does something shitty have to happen for him to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have let my guard down. Maybe I should have realized what was happening. And like over and over and over, like the point of tension in his life comes up and he just completely panics. And I just don't understand, right? Like when they did the third captain reveal at the Tokyo Manji clan meeting thing, and the guy with the glasses walks by, and Takemichi's like, who could that be? Huh? What? Ah, what? Who is that guy? And it's like, bro, do you not remember the primary reason why you were back in the past? Like, how many times did he have to go back and be like, excuse me, the one thing that you were supposed to prevent is to prevent Mikey from ever meeting the glasses guy, Kisaki Teta, right? And so it's like I don't get it. Like, why is he so dumb? And I I don't know. I hate this main character so much, but I just hope that at some point he really does make that 180 and starts to become a real character. But currently, I find him so hilariously pathetic that like it's not even to the point where I can enjoy how pathetic he is. He's just kind of cringe. I don't know. How does he not think I'm going to be in dangerous positions a lot? So let me, yeah, like, I feel like taking karate lessons or something would be like the number one thing I would get, I would try to learn right off the bat. Like, yo, Mikey, can you teach me how to kick like you do? Should I like start working out maybe? I don't know. Dude, it's Japan. Japan doesn't have guns, okay? It's not America. If these guys were in America, everyone would be just shooting each other and The whole story wouldn't even work because everyone just shoots each other to kill each other. So like all the major plot points would just go away. The fact you can remember, yeah, dude, I literally can never remember the names of anything, and I remember Kisaki Teta's name. That tells you everything that you need to know about Takemichi. That tells you everything you need to know. It's just terrible, honestly. But that said, everything around Tokyo Revengers is so good and so enjoyable that like I don't mind as much. And so like Tokyo Revengers isn't on this list, but if it was, I would probably give it like a solid B. Like I'm enjoying it, but I do think the main character really just is unenjoyable for me every time he's on screen. And so yeah. Okay, so next on the list, I'll talk about Vanitas. Vanitas is like a low B, high C tier show for me. Episode 3, we really get to see the creepy side of Vanitas, and like creepy as like rapey vibes, which I was not a fan of with Vanitas. I think the show is very pretty, and I think the general like world of the show is really interesting. But there's a couple things that I'm like pretty mad about with Vanitas, and one is Bones. Kind of, if you look at some of the shows that Bones have done, they're well known to do sort of, oh, here's a goofy moment, yada yada yada. Let's draw them like really cute and whatever. But I feel like they turned it up to like an 11 in this show, in a way that I find it less enjoyable for it. Yeah, it's just like too much of it. However, that said, because you know it's Bones, the animation is fantastic, and the scenes in which people actually fight and do things is actually really really cool. And like I like the design of the Book of Vanitas, and some of the designs of like the vampires when they turn is like really really cool. Like this stuff is all really beautiful. It's really cool. And I like this whole world of vampires thing that they're building. But the thing that makes it slightly unbearable is like too much jokey, funny, fun stuff. And then I also really disliked Vanitas in episode 3, where he just kind of forces himself on that Crimson Witch girl. Twilight good? Okay, Kelly, hold on. Hold up. Yeah, it got high-key weird with the new girl, and I really didn't appreciate that. And yeah, I don't know why they did that. But that said, I think they really did a good job of making the creepy, like actual creepy things creepy looking. Like when the first girl gets her name corrupted and she turns into like the mindless vampire thing, she was legitimately so scary looking there, and I thought that was awesome. And then the way they did Charlatan, and the way they portrayed the parade of Charlatan, like I thought that was all really cool. However, this is the star of the show. If I'm gonna say, if there's anything that's just like the best thing ever from Vanitas, it's this cat. Oh my god, I just love Mur so much. Mur's actually the fucking best. Look at this cat. Tell me that you wouldn't just love this cat. This cat is so adorable. I love him so much. And he's the best part of the show for me. And he's sort of saving it. I just love that cat so goddamn much. Yeah, the cat is so good. I'm sort of waiting to see more of the show. I want to see if Vanitas ever becomes a more interesting character besides just being, hello, I'm quirky and weird. And also I force myself onto women and that sort of thing. And I hope that it builds the world more interestingly. Like we find out there's like a hidden world of vampires that they're going to build upon pretty soon. So I'm generally leaning towards positive. However, I do think there are a couple of things that do hold the show back. Anyways, Vanitas, very pretty show. Again, very and like I like the world, but there are some things that I prevent me from being like, oh yes, this show is gonna be a fucking banger, and I don't think it's quite at that level. So I'm gonna put it at a B, and I could see it becoming pretty damn good. And it's Bones, and like I love I like Bones as an animation studio, so it's always gonna look awesome. So I'm either hoping that they show more fights and it's dope, or we get more of Vanitas goofiness and it drops to a C for me. Subaru Duck Dance is awesome. I want to commission an animator to do this same thing, but with a red panda. I need to do it. They introduce the city so it gets more interesting. Yeah, I agree, Dragon. I agree. Exactly. I think the world is really cool. Like I love the Victorian vibe thing that they got going on, and the airships look awesome, and so I just like the setting a ton. And that's the thing, is like I've always liked these sort of vampire stories. I feel like it's been so long since we got a real proper creepy vampire story out of anime, and like I always look back to Hellsing Ultimate for that. And you know, Hellsing Ultimate now, it's been over 10 years since it's come out, and I feel like just nothing has really been at that level. So yeah, anyways, that's Vanitas. Fiverr, yeah, maybe Fiverr. I should probably ask around to some friends and see if I can get some animators on board. Let's talk about some other shows. Let's see. I'm so distracted. Bye. Okay. Let's roast a detective. I'm down. Okay. The detective is already dead. This show is so all over the place, like narratively, and it's just so everywhere that it's hard for me still, with 3 episodes now that I think that are out, that like I don't get it. And so episode 1 is already a hodgepodge, right? Yeah, like Siesta was a cool character, and then they immediately kill her off. But like first episode, right? Let's go through some of the beats here. First episode, main character, we find out that his whole thing is that bad things happen around him constantly, and so he's well acquainted with police and stuff. He meets this girl who turns out to be a legendary detective, and this legendary detective apparently has these like special gadgets that are made from her blood, and like inhibit like cyborg thing, like has like essentially magical powers. She's up against this guy who can sprout like giant tentacles from the side of his head, and then they fight, you know, they like solve that by essentially like a logic puzzle thing that she does with that guy. And I was like, okay, it's like a superhero superpower detective thing, like I don't know, it just, it's so over the top, right? And then the next part of that first episode, they bring it all back to basically solving a school drug problem, underground drug problem that's happening. And then they just sort of, I don't know, they just kind of go all over the place with like how grounded it is to how over the top ridiculously anime it is. And so the plot is just really confusing to me. And then we find out at the end of the episode, you know, the detective is already dead, and now we're like years past all of that, right? And I don't think that's a spoiler, literally, considering the title. But the detective is already dead, and then we find out in episode 2 that actually her heart is donated to this other girl, and somehow her memories were like stored in her heart. And so now the new girl has some of the old girl's memories and compulsions, and now she wants to become the legendary detective that had previously died. And so she's supposed to be sort of like the reincarnation of the first girl. And I just, again, there probably is some way of like explaining that in a way that feels less ridiculous than the way they did it. They sort of like pseudo scienced it. Yeah, like hard is your memories, and like she just like had this feeling that she had to look out for this guy, like yada yada yada. I'm like, why do we have to pretend that there's like some weird thing at work here with like science about the heart and stuff? Like, I felt like they could have just been like, I don't know, it was made from her blood, and her blood has weird properties, and therefore the thing. Yeah, I don't understand why they had to try to explain it that way, because if anything, it made me like it actually broke my suspension of disbelief even more. Yeah, exactly. Just make it all supernatural. Like, you've already jumped the shark here with like this cyborg guy who can sprout tentacles from his head and bullets that prevent people from like fighting back or something. So why not just say like, oh yeah, she had a special heart transplant, and turns out the detective has a special heart and implants her memory. Like, I don't know, right? Like, I just pseudo explain all of it with the randomness that's in this world, and rather than like, oh yeah, she just inherited her memories or something. I don't know. I really, it just feels like everything in the show right now is just a complete ass pull, and like every character is just so weird and over the top, and like they meet this idol girl who finds out that like her family heirloom is gonna get stolen, and she's just like uber rich, and like I don't know, it just, the show keeps doing this. It's like a 10 to a 0, 10 to a 0, 10 to 0, and I just feel like I get whiplash watching this show, and I'm just so confused at the end of it all. And so like I I think narratively the show is like a complete mess, and yeah, nothing is explained, and they just kind of expect you to go along with it, which is fine sometimes, right? Like compared to Sonny Boy, which doesn't explain anything, but like they just sort of move on from it too fast, and like don't let anything sink in really. They're just like, oh yeah, she's just a junior idol that is super rich, and her parents, I guess, are dead, and then detective just has like superpowers. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think this show is just so narratively all over the place, and I have a hard time keeping up with it. So I don't really like this show so far. But again, like we talked about in previous weekends, the animation is gorgeous, and like the fight scene between the main girl here and the guy with the tentacles from his head was so awesome. But there hasn't been anything on that level since. So the part of the mystery. A good mystery, I feel like, trickles you with information to make you like, oh, like it could be this, it could be that. And so a good mystery takes all the information that you're given in a story and sort of funnels it down into like a couple of maybes, right? And you're like, oh, it could be this, could be that. Like, you know, think of like Clue, right? Think of Clue, where you know, you have these suspects, or what's that more recent movie that's also like Clue, Knives Out or something, and it's like you're trickled some information, and you can sort of narrow it down based off the information that you get. Like, oh, it could be this guy, it could be that guy, and a good mystery feels like you can sort of solve it with the show a little bit. And you don't have to get it right, but then when the show reveals to you what actually happened, it's sort of, you see all the points in which like, oh, the information could have theoretically trickled down. In this show, what makes it a poor mystery is that as these things are happening, there's just no possible real way for you to have gotten there, because they solve things through like truly supernatural means, right? And that's why it's so frustrating, because you're like, okay, I guess I could have imagined that this guy was being threatened to hijack their airplane, but then like, why is it also solved by combat through blood bullets that like control people's thing, or like, yeah, magical flying shoes that allow me to catch up to the perpetrator? Like, it just kind of throws these other things in that like sort of come at you from nowhere. And so so yeah, yeah, you can't really figure anything out organically. And again, it's like a good mystery show reduces the variables to a point where you feel like at least you understand like the container in which the mystery is held. In this show, it's not like that at all. It's just like the mystery is just, oh, it could be anything. It could be a really rich idol. It could be magic bullets. It could be a tentacle guy cyborg thing. You know, it's like, fucking, what am I watching right now? Yeah, I'm not saying that you can't have supernatural mysteries, but it's like Sonny Boy, like I said before, is a supernatural mystery. But it's about sort of the reductiveness and allowing people's deductions to start trickling into the show. Like, that's what makes a good mystery, right? It's a super mid rom-com plus X-Arm. Anyways, I hope we get to see more action shots, because that's where the show really shines, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Judging from the poster, though, it feels like, yeah, it's going to be some harem situation where the main character is really smart and pines after this main girl. I don't know. I really don't know what to think of this show, but both Vanitas and Tantei Shindeiru is like a low B tier show for me. It's like hangs on to the B tier, but like could easily be C tier shows. So that's what I think about the show so far, which is unfortunate, because like the first episode like kind of got me into it, but yeah, I don't know. The subsequent episodes have been just as confusing in my opinion. Yeah, let's talk about Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, I'm surprised yet again. I haven't watched, I think episode 3 just came out today, so I haven't watched that. But I am very, very surprised that they somehow made this character somehow manageable. I did not expect big booby lolly dragon girl with bikini bottom to ever be like watchable. You know, I don't know how they made this character not just making me feel just unbelievably uncomfortable all the time, and that's amazing. And Kyoani, we always praise Kyoani in this household, because Kyoani feel like they just, yeah, I don't know. In any case, I'm just surprised that they made the show still as wholesome as season 1, because I was really worried going into this that like season 1, it wouldn't be like season 1 where everything is incredibly wholesome. You know, despite like, oh yeah, the characters have gigantic boobs, you know, like besides that, like everything is very, very wholesome and sweet. And I think so far they've done it really successfully, and I'm really happy that Kyoani has been able to do that. So Kyoani, these 3 shows are definitely sort of in my front runner for like shows that I think could be the best of the season. But yeah. So yeah, anyways, Kobayashi Dragon Maid, Sonny Boy, Bokutachi no Remake have been my 3 new shows of the season that I really like. Let's talk okay, this one's a returner, but I just love this show. If you guys haven't been watching To Your Eternity, y'all are missing out. This show is godlike. And so if you haven't watched it from last season, yo, I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but this show is fucking awesome. Just to talk about first impressions, 6, I won't go into details too much. To Your Eternity is, it's really hard for me to even describe the synopsis of the show, because basically a supernatural higher being like gives the earth a stone, and this stone, its purpose is to like learn about life. And so the stone evolves with the water around it, blah blah blah, and like evolves into in creatures, and it's one of its first like living forms is like a dog, and so it's about this being who is learning about humanity and the earth and whatnot, and it's really about this guy. It's like, the best way I could describe it is it's an anthology where like the being who eventually becomes named Fushi kind of goes from like place to place, learning about that culture, that the way these people live, and learning from them. And they do it in such a beautiful way where like it's usually through an act of kindness that like someone teaches them about humanity and the troubles that they're going through. And so the show is a tearjerker. Like, I think the show is incredibly just heartfelt, I guess. And I've cried multiple times throughout throughout watching the show week to week, and I just feel constantly like that. And so the arc that we just came from was like one of my favorite arcs, and now in this new season, we are at a new point in the show where it's starting this sort of prisoner island arc where he gets kidnapped and brought to this place, which I guess is like I don't know. Yeah, it's just prison island, and for the first time, I feel like in the entire show, he doesn't have any good role models around him, and I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, non-human thing learns humanity. I haven't played Detroit Becomes Human, so I don't know the reference there. Yeah, exactly. It's a set of small stories, and that's why I call it kind of like an anthology, where like each of the different stories don't really interact that much with each other, but each of the small short stories so far have been really awesome. And so we're in a new short story, and this new arc has been, yeah, I think it's probably one of the weakest so far, but that's not to take away too much from it, because like I feel like every other story so far has been like 10 out of 10. And this one might be the first time it doesn't hit a 10 out of 10. And I don't think that's like that terrible of a thing. But I think I get why people don't like this island arc as much. And it's a little jarring, I think, because normally, kind of like what Six is saying, Fushi is a vehicle to tell other people's stories. Well, in this case, it doesn't feel like Fushi is telling other people's story, and so far it's just kind of lost and confused, and so I'm waiting for that to pick up a little bit. But that said, I still think that the show is god tier. I think this show so far is a 10 out of 10. And so if you haven't caught up until now for this season of it, I feel like you should catch up because it's really good. Whose story is the one licking Fushi? I think that's going to come up in the new latest episode or the next episode because like, yeah, we'll see. They haven't revealed that. I like how Fushi can make whatever he wants if he's seen or touched it. Well, we're not quite sure how Fushi's power works just yet because like, it has to have hurt him or he has to have some sort of emotional attachment. I guess we kind of know how it works, right? Like if he has an emotional attachment to something, he can become it. It's not clear to me if like, yeah, like how he turns into things that are living necessarily. Yeah, it's like some sort of stimulation. It's eat or stat, but I feel like he can make those pairs because of the emotional attachment to them, not because he just ate it. I think, but I'm not sure. So anyways, yeah, I don't want to talk too specific on the recent episodes and stuff, but I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know. I just look forward to the show probably the most out of most shows, and it's a little emotionally heavy, but I like it a lot. I do know that a lot of the people who have read the manga for To Your Eternity says that it does drop off, and I wonder when that happens. Don't spoil, please don't spoil, but I know that people have said that it does kind of get worse as it goes on, but that said, in the anime itself, like I'm really enjoying everything so far. So, yeah, please don't drop. I imagine it's sort of the larger plot coming together. Yeah, and you know, shows that start episodic and tried to start building more of a, you know, cohesive narrative. I feel like a lot of shows get worse from there. Like for me, an example of that is Death Parade or Kakegurui, where like each individual arc was like really good when it was just like several episodes long. But as soon as they try to tie like a bigger story arc around the world, it sometimes suffers. Yeah. So we'll see. But that said, as of right now, as an anime only, To Your Eternity, godlike, and everyone should watch it. So. Boom. That's that show. Let me talk about My Hero Academia. I fucking think that this show is at its worst right now. Oh my god, I cannot stand My Hero Academia. This has been by far the worst season of My Hero yet, and I don't think it's even like particularly close. It's just like, yeah, filler episodes and just nothing ever happens. And it's been this whole season, like this last from the previous season from spring, it's been like all just the class infighting stuff, and that was boring as hell. And then it feels like the plot might move forward with the stuff that Hawks is doing, and then we get derailed again, and it's just like we're just getting derailed over and over and over, and I'm just like, please just get somewhere to me. Yeah, I'm still watching this shit. I was promised that the show gets better. Everyone was talking about how like My Hero Academia is getting into like what's considered manga readers' favorite arc, you know, one of the top arcs of My Hero yet. And we're supposed to get there, and I'm still waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I don't know how long I can wait for. I legitimately want to drop this show. And that's crazy to me because I love season 1, I love season 2, I love season 3, and there were good parts in season 4. And then we get to season 5, and it's just utter shit. It's just like I don't know how to put it. It's just shit. And like, I'm just. Yeah, it's just like they keep teasing that, like, oh, there's going to be something big that's happening. Like Hawks is involved in this, you know, pharmaceutical company that's making this like booster nonsense, and then League of Villains has got their fingers in it somehow, and like clearly Endeavor has his plan about how to tackle everything, and I'm so tired of waiting for something to happen. And I guess My Hero Academia is gonna be the show that I just like stay on my phone for, because I need something to happen, and it feels like week after week I'm disappointed. It's because of the movie. The whole thing is gonna lead into it. Yeah, I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting. Please let something finally happen in My Hero. Please. I need it. I feel like SpongeBob with the water, man. I just need crumbs of something. I need it. I hope that they do it. If it ends up being the lead up into the movie, I'm still mad about it then. All the movies thus far have been non-canon, I think. So I hope that isn't the case. But anyways, I desperately want to get to the good part of My Hero Academia, and I'm just sitting here waiting. The other show that I feel like is sort of doing the same thing, but not to the same extent, is Slime. Dude, I've been waiting 3 months for part 2 of Slime. Like, Rimuru is now a demon lord. She murks the entire, like, church army, and they are all powerful now. They have Raphael in their year. They've revived Veldora, and, like, I'm just like, okay, so now you guys are super powerful, and you know this Clayman guy's gotta go down. So, like, where's the fighting? Where's the action? What's happened? Like, they've laid all this tinder on the ground, and there's a match to light it all up, but nothing's happening. And so for both My Hero and Slime, I'm like, I feel like I got super debated by manga expectation, because like everyone talks about, oh yeah, like this next arc, oh man, it's gonna be so good. But I'm getting blue balled by this expectation, because I'm waiting for something to happen in Slime. They're just stuck talking about things. And then not only that, it's like, I feel like I've gotten debated even by the Slime narrative itself, because I thought Clayman was the one behind it. But no, it's not actually Clayman behind it, because behind Clayman is another guy. Oh, it's that guy we talked to a long time ago. He's the real bad guy. And it's like, oh, okay, but we haven't dealt with Clayman. So I feel like revealing that door was a little preemptive, and like, yeah, exactly. You're a demon lord, so now do something. And like, why are you also revealing the big bad guy behind the big bad guy already? Like, what's happening here? And so I don't know, man. I'm a little mad at Slime. It's not quite as bad as My Hero, because my Hero has a 12 episode head start on being shitty. And yeah, the season is just about talking. And that's the thing, is that I don't normally mind politics when there's something on the line. There's some sense of urgency why this politics matters. But in this case for Slime, they're just talking, I feel like, to talk. I really don't understand. It's like, yeah, I don't know, make Simp Lord McGee Lord of Falma. I don't give a fuck, and let's just do it. And then I get it. Everybody's really, really impressed that Veldora is back. We don't need the 10 of the same reaction of people being like, oh my god, Veldora's back. You know, like, just get on with it. Yeah, he's back. Let's see him fight. You know, let's see him do something. Oh, it's dragging. Manga readers probably read through these slow parts in an hour, and that is... I talk about this in my anime podcast. For anybody who doesn't know, I do a anime podcast with my boy, the Asian Avenger. And our next episode is going to be talking through some of how we feel about the season so far. And one of the things I do bring out is that I just feel like for manga readers, you can control the pacing at which you get through an arc, right? Because you can literally skim read sections that bore you, and then you can start focusing on the things that don't bore you, right? And so manga readers get to do this sort of like choose your own pacing style of content with manga, because manga, you can get through content way faster than you could with anime. But because anime is a format where you're waiting week after week, like, things happen just so much slower, and you don't get to control how fast people talk, right? You have to listen to the voice dialogue in its entirety before you can move on. And so I don't know. I just feel like this is one of those sections that I wish more studios like KyoAni would dissect what's necessary from the original source material and make it good for the sake of the anime, and let that serve that. You know what I mean? You wait week after week for manga too, but you get to choose how fast you get through it, right? Like, you can be like, oh, this part of the manga is really good. I'll enjoy each and every frame as you read through it. Or you can be like, I don't really give a fuck, and I'm just gonna skim it, right? So anyways, I think I'm just I could see myself turning around on My Hero and Slime depending on the payoffs of the season, but so far they've been massive, massive disappointments. Massive disappointments. Considering how hyped I was for both of these shows. Slime at least C tier. It's close. I'm giving it a little more benefit of the doubt, but like it could easily be C tier. I'm not fully caught up on Solo Leveling. I'm a couple chapters behind. And then the last show that I'll talk about, which is just like my pick for a dumb good show that's fun. Like there's actually a gap between this show, Vanitas, and like all these other ones. Like this one's like a high B to me. And I just think the show is good, dumb fun, and there's nothing really more to talk about it. Yeah, I watched. I read up on a lot of Solo Leveling. Yep, exactly. Villainous. It's just dumb. It's literally so dumb, but like it doesn't take itself seriously. So it's kind of like my reset show because I can just turn my brain off while I watch it and enjoy it for what it's worth. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I really have no expectation of this ever moving to A or S tier. But it's like it's fun for what it is. So yeah, it's just a good dumb fun for what it is. I meant to watch the first episode of Nighthead just because I'm curious about it. Someone talked about Ore Tsushima as well, but I haven't started that. I'm really excited for Jahi-sama and Iratentachi. Until it comes out, like I have nothing to say about it. So yeah, let me know if I've critically missed anything in the bottom row here. I don't think I have. I think if I was to think about the season overall, so far it's looking pretty mediocre. There's a couple shows that I think could make me feel a little better about it, but like most of these shows are like it's the division of shows looks more like this, where it's like there's very few really good shows and like a lot of pretty bad ones. And so yeah, most shows are on the downtrend, right? Like this ranking actually isn't super helpful for that, but like most of these it looks like they're going to get worse rather than better anytime soon. And only a few shows I feel like I'm even very positive about. So it's unfortunate. B- tier. Yeah, maybe I should just add a B- tier because I feel like most of this here is like a B-. It's like this right now. And with that, that is pretty much everything I've been watching from this season.